What's up my peeps, it is now time for the Survivor Series prediction game video, and this Sunday's Survivor Series has to be one of the most unpredictable pay-per-views in years, headlined by a pretty predictable main event though, in Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. Now that's not to say that I'm not looking forward to that match, because I am, mainly to see how Goldberg performs, how they use Goldberg at this stage, and also I'm excited to see Goldberg's entrance. And I want them to go full out with the security guards and everything. And it's Raw vs. SmackDown. It's been a while since we've had a Raw vs. SmackDown environment, especially at Survivor Series. The last time I remember Raw vs. SmackDown at Survivor Series was back in 2005 when they had that classic Survivor Series SmackDown vs. Raw match. And that was great. I love that match, and I also love the build-up to it. And even what happened after the match. The build-up was great. At that time, you had Kane and Big Show as a dominant tag team on the Raw side. On the SmackDown side, you had the World Champion in Batista, and you had Bobby Lashley, who I believe at that time might have been undefeated still. And whenever you'd watch Raw and SmackDown to the build-up of the match, there was a lot of focus on Raw vs. SmackDown. You'd see invasions, Raw guys invading SmackDown, SmackDown guys invading Raw. But for the most part, I felt like Raw were the heels, or they were portrayed as such for the most part. And the Go Home show, I think it was the Go Home show, was the coolest part when a bunch of Raw guys came in, and then SmackDown guys fought them off, but then Kane and Big Show come out, and nobody can touch them when they're together, and they double chokeslam Batista through the announce table. And then there was another cool, Raw where the SmackDown guys came in the parking lot and they all fought it out there. It was cool, man. And of course, after the Survivor Series match, Taker makes his return. And I was rooting for SmackDown at that time, and I still find myself rooting for SmackDown just because I know Raw is the WWE's flagship show, and I like to root for the underdog, although history has always favored SmackDown when it comes to these Raw vs. SmackDown matches. SmackDown wins like 90% of them. This time though, it's a bit different. Instead of just having one match to determine who's best, they're actually having 5 Raw vs. SmackDown matches, 2 of them being title matches. So also, titles might switch brands, or they might stay on the same brand. But I think it's pretty safe to assume whichever brand goes ahead and wins 3 out of the 5 matches will go ahead and brag about being the superior brand. Or will they? I'll get to that in just a few moments in this video. Now, before I get down to my predictions, I would just like to point out that nobody got every single prediction right for the Hell in a Cell prediction game. Pretty much, the New Day match messed up a lot of us, where they retained the titles, so they're still the champions, but they lost the match, of course, via disqualification against Cesaro and Sheamus. But with only 6 matches announced so far for Survivor Series, this is a good opportunity for one of you guys to get every single one of your predictions right, because there aren't that many matches. But they are pretty unpredictable though, so make sure to leave your predictions in the comment section below for all the matches. Anyways, let me start my predictions. And we're going to start it off with the tag team match, the huge 10-on-10 match where it's going to pretty much surround the entire ring. I don't know how anybody's going to bounce off the ropes in the beginning of that match, like run towards the ropes, because then somebody might just fall off the apron. We might just have a Charlie Haas knocking down Leland Garcia off the apron moment right there. So I'm thinking at the beginning of the match, you won't see anybody bouncing off the ropes until a couple people get eliminated. And also, this whole tag team Survivor Series match brings up the question of, do you have to pin both members of a tag team to eliminate them, or just one of the members? Because I don't think they went into detail on that or explained that. Anyways, the teams are Team Raw, The New Day, Sheamus and Cesaro, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Enzo Amore, and Big Cass, as well as the Shining Stars, facing off against Team SmackDown's Heath Slater and Rhino, the Hype Bros, American Alpha, the Usos, and Breezango. Now, this to me is the hardest one to call out of the 3 Survivor Series Classic matches, and it's mainly because of the club. I'm not sure what they're gonna do, if they're gonna get along with the team, or if they're gonna stab them in the back like they said on Raw. I could even see the possibility of them secretly striking a deal with SmackDown to go over there and get a title shot if they turn on Raw. Something similar to what happened with the Big Show a couple years back when he turned on Raw because he made a deal with SmackDown to get a title shot. Because Next in line is probably Cesaro and Sheamus. They're probably going to take the tag team titles away from the New Day, so where does that leave the club? Would they go ahead and take the tag team titles from Cesaro and Sheamus? Not sure, but I could even see something like them going to SmackDown and the Revival moving up on Raw to replace them, so that way both brands get, fresh new tag team added. And I could see them wanting to reunite the club on SmackDown to help out AJ Styles in a feud against The Undertaker, kind of like Edge and the Edgeheads versus Taker. And also, they could be the ones to take the tag team titles from Heath Slater and Rhino, because the top heel tag team, I should say, on SmackDown has already tried to take those tag team titles away from Heath and Rhino, and they failed. And the rest of the heel tag teams on SmackDown don't have the best record right now. But also at the same time, the Raw team looks so much stronger, and this could be used as an opportunity to get Sheamus and Cesaro finally on the same page and have them win the match for the Raw side. But also, Survivor Series has often been a pay-per-view of upsets when it comes to these, 5-on-5 tag team. Well, it's not 5-on-5 here, it's freaking 10 versus 10. But when it comes to these classic Survivor Series matchups, sometimes you see upsets like Kofi Kingston beating Randy, and I could see this being an opportunity to go ahead and have American Alpha dominate and really establish them as a top tag team on the main roster. So there's reasons for both, and I'm pretty much 50-50 on this, but I've got to make a decision. I'm going to go with SmackDown on this one. And then you've got the Women's Team Raw versus Team SmackDown match. On Raw, you've got Charlotte, Bayley, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, and Sasha Banks versus Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Naomi. Now this one's a bit easier for me, and it's mainly because on the Raw side, you've got three of the most dominant women right now in the division. Nia Jax, who's undefeated, Charlotte, who's almost undefeated, she only lost once on pay-per-view, and it was a battleground against the third most dominant woman in the division, and that's Sasha Banks. And I know that there's the option of DQs and countouts, like, hey, Nia Jax could get counted out or DQ'd. Maybe, but that still leaves Charlotte and Sasha Banks. And I also see a DQ or a countout taking place in the 5-on-5 men match, so I'm not sure if they're going to do it in both matches. And also on top of that, the SmackDown team did get the momentum going into the show by taking out the Women's Raw team on SmackDown, so I say come time for the pay-per-view, the Raw women win the match. And then we've got The Miz versus Sami Zayn for the IC title. Pretty much if Sami Zayn wins, he brings the Intercontinental Championship to Raw, and then Raw has the US title and the IC title. Well, I say that's not going to happen. I say The Miz retains here, he wins the match. There's a couple possibilities here. Dolph Ziggler could help The Miz win, or Spirit Squad and Maurice could help The Miz win. The reason why I say Dolph Ziggler is because he's got a rematch clause, but if the IC title goes to Raw, is he going to get that rematch clause? I think the title needs to stay on SmackDown for him to get a title shot once again. So he might do that just, to go ahead and ensure that the title remains on the SmackDown brand so he gets a rematch. Also, I've heard of people saying, oh, Sami Zayn wins the title and then goes to SmackDown or brings it over to SmackDown if he wins. No, what's the point of that? Why would Raw put Sami Zayn in a match like this, or whoever was going to challenge for the IC title if the stipulation was, hey, if your guy wins, he comes over to SmackDown and he's the Intercontinental Champion and now he's on our brand. Why would Raw then, agree to the match? So here's what I think is going to happen. I think The Miz is going to win. He's going to find a way to win, whether that's Spirit Squad helping him out or Maurice or Dolph Ziggler doing it or whatever, I don't know. He's going to win the match. And then Stephanie McMahon, because if you guys didn't see Raw, Stephanie McMahon, pretty much, they made it obvious that Stephanie doesn't like Sami Zayn. And she told him, you better, bring over that IC title to Raw. And so, Miz beats Sami Zayn, Stephanie McMahon is pissed, she goes ahead, fires Sami Zayn, and then Daniel Bryan hires Sami Zayn, and hey, Sami Zayn is on SmackDown now, and SmackDown still has the IC title, except it's on The Miz, or maybe Dolph Ziggler, because maybe Dolph Ziggler wins the rematch or something like that. But that's what I think is going to happen. I say The Miz wins the match here, and the IC title stays on SmackDown. Now, moving on to the Team Raw versus Team SmackDown main match, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins versus SmackDown's AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Randy, and Shane McMahon. Initially, when this was first announced, I was like, SmackDown, automatically, because SmackDown always wins these matches, but in this case, I actually think Raw is gonna win, or at least this one. Raw's gonna win this one. And to be perfectly honest, it's kind of like the women's match, where it's mainly because of two people here, or actually mainly because of one, Roman Reigns. You see, I don't see Roman Reigns getting eliminated. I think he's actually gonna be the sole survivor, or one of the sole survivors. I think it might just be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins remaining, or Roman Reigns on his own. Or Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, I don't know, but something that involves Roman Reigns. And also, with The Undertaker coming out on SmackDown. See, on the Raw side, Stephanie McMahon went ahead and pretty much threatened the Raw team with their jobs or something like that, but it's not like she's going to go ahead and fire all of them, because this team consists of some of her top stars. And then on the SmackDown side, you had The Undertaker coming out and saying that if you fail, you're going to have to fear the dead man. So obviously, if somebody costs Team SmackDown the match, The Undertaker wants SmackDown to win. If somebody goes ahead and messes up, screws over the team, Taker's gonna go after them. So that's a good setup for AJ Styles defending the title against The Undertaker. Maybe AJ Styles, to smite Dean Ambrose or something like that, just goes ahead and leaves. Dean Ambrose is looking for a tag and AJ gets off the apron, leaves, or maybe he gets pissed off at James, punches him, and that distracts Dean Ambrose and costs them the match. You get a spear out of nowhere or something like that. And then also, Bray Wyatt and Randy, you don't know, maybe Randy's gonna hit the RKO on Bray. Maybe Survivor Series is where Randy turns on the Wyatt family, because that's not gonna last. At some point soon, Randy's gonna turn on Bray. That might be at Survivor Series. And then Shane McMahon, he always goes ahead and jumps off stuff, with the elbow drop and all that. You might go ahead, put Braun Strowman on the announce table, go for the elbow, maybe Braun Strowman gets out the way, and that gets Shane McMahon counted out or something. Or maybe he gets counted out along with Braun Strowman. Speaking of Braun Strowman, I see him getting counted out or DQ'd. He might be one of the sole survivors, but honestly I think it's more likely that he gets DQ'd or counted out. I could see Shane McMahon hitting the elbow drop through the announce table on Braun Strowman, and that takes them both out, and they're both counted out. But overall, I just feel Raw stands a better chance, and they've got Roman Reigns in there, who's likely in line for a championship match at the next pay-per-view. And Team Raw actually has two Canadians in there, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, and they're going to be in Toronto. So the crowd might actually cheer for Team Raw over Team SmackDown just because of that. So I'm going to go with Team Raw in the 5-on-5 match. And when it comes to Brian Kendrick versus Kalisto for the Cruiserweight Championship, if Kalisto wins, the entire division goes to SmackDown. I'm going to go ahead and say that Kalisto gets the win and brings over the Cruiserweight division to SmackDown. And I think the biggest hint is obviously the new Cruiserweight show that's going to air after SmackDown 205. And it's airing after SmackDown, not after Raw. And also it's airing in between SmackDown and Talking Smack. So, while Talking Smack, they'd be able to talk about SmackDown and 205 as well. Now, if it was gonna air after Talking Smack, then maybe I would have went with Raw, because they wouldn't talk about it on Talking Smack, because the show wouldn't have aired yet. And on top of that, it's not just called 205, it's called 205 Live. That goes with the whole SmackDown Live thing, and on top of that, it could also help SmackDown's mid-card. Because some of the guys in the Cruiserweight division could just go up a couple pounds, and then they could compete for the other championships. For instance, they keep bringing up how Cedric Alexander, had to lose, 22 pounds or whatever to make it in the Cruiserweight division. I think they bill him as 205. So he just adds 1 pound, and he could go ahead and compete for the world title and, IC title if he wants to. Need a new challenger for the IC title? Just give Cedric Alexander a triple cheeseburger, and you're good to go. So, I'm pretty sure Kalisto gets the win here. And finally, for the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg, the easiest match for me. Gonna go with Lesnar on this one. Don't see Goldberg being the one to stop Brock Lesnar, especially with this probably being his last match. I don't see this as bringing Goldberg over so somebody can end Brock's streak. I see this as bringing Goldberg back as fan service and to get some more network subscriptions and get people to tune in and watch Survivor Series. So, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, you can click the like button down below. and leave your predictions for all the matches in the description box. I'm out, guys. See ya.